Good afternoon. How y'all doing today? I hope everybody's getting off to a good semester, a couple weeks in. I'm the Director of Safety and Security at Travis Acreage, and got Ashley Reiner from the Swainsboro Police Department, who's a detective with them. Today's Lunch and Learn, and I'm glad we got a good turnout because this is something that is very important for your safety on campus and as you move around at other campuses and when you move out off the campus and start your career. Okay. Can y'all hear me good?
No,
I'm gonna speak up.
no, in their video.
Okay. I need the mic.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move forward till he gets that. This year, there was 2 bills going through the House and the Senate and made it to the governor's desk for signing. One was to carry firearms on campus, which was not passed, so you cannot have a weapon on campus. The second one was the Taser Law. And that law says that you can have a taser or a electric shock device here on campus. And it's for your protection. So I'm going to just read just a little bit of the law right here. It says any person who is 18 years of age or older or currently enrolled in classes on the Swainsboro or on the campus in question and carrying, possessing, or having under such person control an electroshock weapon while in or on any building or real property owned by or leased to such public technical school. So a couple parts in that right there that you need to know. If all of y'all are students here, faculty and staff, employees, you fall under this law. So if you choose to buy a taser or something that's commercially sold, you are within the law to have it here. Okay. Also, and I've had some parents ask me this right here, because we have high school students coming to our campus. If a high school student is dual enrolled and comes to our campus, they fall under this law. They can have one. Once they leave here and go back to the high school, this does not apply for them again, okay? So that's a little kicker for them. While they're, because some of those high school students are under the age of 18, this law covers that because they're on our campus. The next part of it, this is the most important part, is when can you use this device? All right. Several years ago, just when I first got here, I was an instructor. We had a guy that had one, and he was out in the area by the canteen, and he was out there sticking it to himself. That sounds funny, but he was. All right. This device, this law, is made for your protection, and the law says that. I'm going to read that part to you. It says that a person makes such use of the electroshock weapon, such use shall be in defense of self or others, and that's it. So what should be going on is that you feel threatened in some kind of way. We're hoping that you're either calling me, Philip, somebody that you're going to need some help, 911, and you're defending yourself with this, okay? That's the only time. It is not to be taken out, playing around with it. Oh, let me show you what I got here. Pointing at somebody just playing. This is a serious weapon that people are going to be real scared if you have it out. Okay? That's just part of the weapon. That's what the weapon is. Any use of the weapon should be reported to the security department. And in return, because of the law says in self-defense of self of others, there may be some criminal activity that's going on, right? that's going to be turned over to the Swainsboro Police Department or the agency that's, if you haven't been by day, it'd be by day Police Department. That's the only time that you can use this, okay? The other thing, just to define electric shock weapon, it says means any commercially available device that is powered by electrical charging units and designed exclusively to be capable of incapacitating a person by electrical charge, including but not limited to a stun gun or taser, as defined by the law. Now, Detective Reiner, he's going to show you what law enforcement tote, and you can't get that commercially, right?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, so the type that he's going to show you, you can get this. The reason I asked Ashley to come in today was because I want him to explain what his response is to this weapon. And him explaining what his response to this weapon is going to show you how, even though this is a less lethal weapon, it's classified as a less lethal weapon, his response is going to be one that is going to be one step above, right? Whatever you're doing, if he's responding to a scene as law enforcement, his action is going to be one step above what you're doing toward him, or toward the person that you are shocking with this weapon, all right? These weapons, and he'll tell you a little bit more about this, these weapons are designed to affect the muscle system. It shuts you down. Any law enforcement that you see that has one has been shot with a taser. We know what it does to us. We know what it does to a person. We also know that if you're shot with this weapon, the person that you are shooting with it, touching with it, is vulnerable to you at that time, okay? That person is vulnerable to you, and if they're already doing something that you feel like you have to defend yourself against them, they may have a taser too, right? And they may be trying to take advantage of you in other ways. If they hit you with the taser, that may be possible because of what the device does. Anybody that's caught playing with these tasers, doing something inappropriate with them on campus, we will be referring you for disciplinary actions because we don't want that type of environment here on campus. I'm 100% against any weapons on campus. State law says it's here, so it's here, and we'll deal with it. But we want it done appropriately, okay? Any questions so far? Y'all are my eyes and ears. The security department up here on Swainsboro Campus is me part-time because I'm flexible between here by day and all of our other campuses and Philip. So we need your help. We ask for your eyes and ears. If you see somebody doing something stupid, tell us. And that's the only way I can say it is because if somebody's playing with it, they're doing something stupid. Okay? What we try to do is we try to protect y'all as best we can, but we can't be everywhere at one time. Okay? I'm going to turn it over to Detective Reiner and let him tell you about the law enforcement response. And remember this, like I said, if you use one against somebody, law enforcement is coming. Okay? There's going to be a report made on that side. So your actions better be justified in using the weapon against who you use it against.
Y'all hear me? In the back. I appreciate y'all asking me to come talk to you about this. I've been in law enforcement here in Emmanuel County for over 20 years. I was with the Sheriff's Office for about 17 years. Prior to that, I was with the Police Department here, and now I'm back since November with the Police Department. So about 34 years of working experience between law enforcement and paramedic. The Chief sent me to Taser Instructor School this past year, and because we we didn't have an instructor. And the taser requires you to have all your guys recertify every year if you want taser to back you with all of their attorneys and things like that. If somebody gets hurt, if you shoot somebody and it causes some type of death or something like that. This law talks about tasers, and that's what you're going to hear people say, well, I got a taser, but it also has stun guns. Now, how many of you have been to the flea markets and you've seen the little black square stun guns? Some of them look like flashlights, and they got two little probes, kind of like a cattle prod. Everybody know what a cattle prod is? You know? That's a stun gun. That's a lot different than a taser. A stun gun is really designed to kind of inflict pain because it deals with the sensory nervous system and not so much the muscular nervous system. So, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a minute, but of course it uses electricity, and I'm no electrician, but the taser itself, this is an actual taser brand X26 taser. It has a battery in the handle, it has a cartridge that has two wire probes that have fish hooks, like a little barb on it, like a fish hook, and it's got nitrogen capsules in here that actually propel the two darts on a wire. There's a copper-clad steel wire. They're real thin. You can break them, but they don't break very easily. Like if somebody's being exposed with this thing, they're not going to be able to break a wire unless sometimes people learn how to defeat it. But this is a 26-watt battery. It has 50,000 volts, but it only has 0.0021 amps. And amps is what will kill you. You've always heard, you know, you get shocked by 110, it just shocks you, but if you touch 220, it can kill you. That's because the amps are real high. So this is low amperage but high voltage. And it runs for 5 seconds per trigger pull. Now that's how we test it to make sure it's functioning properly. We look at the spark, we listen to the sound, and that, what you heard, is actually functioning properly. If I put the cartridge in there and pull the trigger, you're going to hear a pop, and then you'll hear that noise. And when you get shot with this thing, it's like somebody hitting you in the back with a sledgehammer, about the same speed that you hear this thing clicking. And it's very unpleasant. I told the chief, I said, yeah, I'll go to taser school. I said, but if they make me get shot again, you can send somebody else. I ain't going. I don't mean to do that, but I ain't getting shot again. And I'm not. So you don't want to make the police mad, whoever's got the taser. Just be nice. He probably won't tase you. You know, electricity, when you're talking about electricity, you got volts, current, and amps, which is the current. But if you compare that to water, the volts would be like water pressure. Like pounds per inch squared would be an analogy to compare electricity to water. The current or the amps would be the flow rate, how fast that current is flowing, and then the quantity of the charge is like a gallon per pulse. So every time you hear that thing clicking, it pulses. That's what is forcing the voltage into your body, because electricity is a flow of electrons through a conductor. Well, the human body is about, what nursing students, 70% water. The water's a real good electrical conductor. So, so your body is the conductor. And when you shoot somebody with this taser, you want to have a good wide spread. That's real important. The closer that the darts are together, the less efficient that it is. It's not going to feel as strong. But if you shoot somebody in the back and then below the belt and the thigh, you're going to have a large spread. It's really going to pound them pretty hard. They're going to comply when you tell them to put their hands behind their back. They're not going to want to fight you anymore. So the thing about that, to follow the spread. So if somebody comes on campus and they try to rape you or kidnap you or something like that, and you pull out your taser. If you buy a taser, it's going to be a lot better weapon than, say, a stun gun. But the tasers they're pretty pricey. They're about $1,000 for the civilian version. They make one called the Pulse, which has a 7-watt battery. I think you can buy this X26, which is the 26 watt battery. It's the most powerful one they have. But you can only have a certain length of wire. I think they only allow you to have like 15 feet of wire. We can have 25 feet, 30 feet for law enforcement. So, you know, but we don't, there's been a lot of changes in the laws, and policy is how we use this. We're not just going to go up and tase you just because you cuss me out. You know, you've got to be physically aggressive toward a police officer. We don't like to tase them when they're running because when it locks them up, they fall down. They're going to fall pretty hard, and that's where people get hurt. As far as the electricity causing you to have a heart attack, things like that, typically 5 seconds exposure does not hurt anybody. If you have a pacemaker, it should not affect the pacemaker. So people that die from taser exposure usually die from secondary injury or from some other condition, not the actual shocking from the taser. And it will kill you. There was a female officer who shot a guy with the taser. If you keep your finger on this particular model, if you keep your finger on that trigger, it continues to cycle. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. 37 seconds, she shot this guy, or exposed him for 37 seconds, and he died. And the reason she kept her finger on the trigger, she had other people coming around her. She was more concerned about the crowd around her and got sidetracked about the guy she had under power. So now the newer models, they've changed the battery. You pull the trigger, it'll shoot for 5 seconds. If you hold the trigger, it cuts off after 5 seconds and it beeps. It lets you know, it gives you an audible tone, lets you know, hey, dummy, let go of the trigger. So then you can let go of the trigger and pull it again and get another 5 seconds. So that's kind of a safety procedure they put in there because this one guy he died from 37 seconds of exposure. How it works, you've got the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. You've got the motor nervous system, which is basically all the nerves that go out of the spinal cord and it goes to your muscles. And you know, your brain tells you to move your arm, pick something up, whatever. Then you got the sensory nervous system, which is the nerve endings in your skin, your eyes, your ears. Those are your senses, and it tells your brain, you know, what's going on. So when you put your hand on a hot stove, it tells your brain that it's hot. You lift up your hand. The taser affects the motor nervous system, and it does this in what we call neuromuscular incapacitation. And this electric charge they've designed this thing to where it kind of is on the same wavelength of the brain waves. And when it grabs you, it locks you up and you cannot move. And you will fall on the ground. When we expose people, we put them on their knees. We have 2 people holding them by their elbows. I'll shoot them in the back and they'll lay them down on the ground for 5 seconds. And they're just tensed up and they can't do anything. So a bad guy can have a taser, and I see he's got a taser, he points it at me and shoots me. Well, I know if I ride that ride for 37 seconds or longer, it's probably going to kill me with a cardiac problem. Or I can't move, he can walk up to me while I'm under power, take my gun out of my holster and shoot me in the head. And there's nothing I can do. And I know what's going on. You're not unconscious, but you cannot move. You can't do anything. So, I can't speak for all the other law enforcement, but if I come to a scene and a bad guy has a taser, and I have a taser and a firearm, I'm going to use the firearm on him because I know what can happen. And you need to really understand that. If the cops come out here, you tase somebody, and you know they're trying to hurt you, whatever, rape you, kidnap you, whatever, you tase them, they could show up, and you got them under power, and you know you let them know. Don't point it at them. You know, don't point the taser at them. Just keep it on the bad guy who's trying to hurt you, and you know, start talking to them and do what they tell you. If they say, you know, let me see your hands, put the taser down, because they're there. You ain't gonna have to shock him anymore. Put the taser down, put your hands up, listen to what they're telling you. They at that point in time, they're not going to know really what's going on. They may tell you, let me see your hands, back up, lay on the ground, don't move. You just comply. Do not point that taser out, because 9 times out of 10, we consider that it's a less lethal weapon, is what they advertise it, but it'll kill you. Or it can cause you to be killed, because you can walk up and grab, you can touch them. As long as you don't get crossed up into 2 wires, you can touch the person, it's not going to transfer. You might feel a little bit of electrical, but it's not going to lock you up. You know? Now, they used to get about 5 people and put them elbow to elbow, locked elbows, and they put one lead over here and one lead over there, and they pop it on, and the dog jump, and it would transfer that way. But that's one circuit. You know, you got a wire over here and a wire over here, and they've completed the circuit, so they get a lot more reaction. When you're underpowered, you're going to be moaning or either cussing or not saying anything. I shot one of our female officers the other day. She didn't make a sound for 5 seconds. It hit her, and they laid her down, and not one sound. She said, "I done had 3 youngins. That wasn't too bad." I said, "You want to do it again?" She said, "No." So it's not pleasurable. It's a good tool. It's probably kept a lot of officers from getting hurt and having to fight somebody. Most people are going to comply. You know, they're going to be nice. They're going to talk to the officer. You know, you're not going to be, if you just tase some guy because he's trying to kidnap you or rape you out there when you're walking to your car at night or daytime or whatever, or you know, somebody's trying to hurt you, rob you, whatever. There's all kinds of circumstances where you might use this thing. You know, the police aren't going to be, well, you're not going to be, you know, mad at the police. You know, you're not actually, you're a victim. You're not actually committing a crime, so you're going to probably talk to them and comply with them and, so they can find out what's going on. And they're going to arrest the bad guy and take him to jail, and they'll write the report and tell you did a great job, you know, not getting raped or kidnapped. But, you know, the criminal element out there, they're the ones we have to worry about. They're the ones that are going to run from us, fight us, shoot us, cut us. They don't want to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail, really. People will hurt you to keep from going to jail. I found that out to be true. And they may not really intend to hurt you, but they'll hurt you in the process and not want to get locked up for whatever they've done. And some people are, you know, I don't know, y'all been keeping up with the news and see what's going on in America lately. It's pretty bad. I've never seen it quite as bad as to all the craziness that's going on. So, you know, a police officer is getting shot on a regular basis, just sitting in a patrol car or whatever, you know, walking down the street. They're getting shot in the head, and it makes all of the guys I work with are a lot more aware of their surroundings now. As to, you know, when we walk outside, I'm looking around, make sure I don't have somebody with an AR-15 trained on me, wanting to shoot me. And it's not because, you know, all police officers are bad. You got some bad apples in every organization. But I've never really gone to work with a police officer who got there that day and said, you know, I want to go out and kill somebody. I want to go out and hurt somebody. Most of them are really good guys and they want to help people. But they just like the excitement and the adrenaline of being a police officer. They like guns. They, you know, they're that type of personality, but they're not bad people. But you do have some bad ones, and you have some stupid ones. But that's in every profession. You know, you got good doctors and bad doctors, good lawyers, bad lawyers, good hairdressers, bad hairdressers, you know, nurses. It doesn't matter what occupation you go in. You got good and bad, and you have attitude. You know, good and bad attitude. So the police are here to help you, and if you got that taser, you just listen to them. You know, you're going to be excited. You're going to have a big adrenaline dump, and somebody's trying to hurt you. And you know, the police should know that, and they're going to know that. You know, it's like when we tase. If we have to tase somebody, you know, we give them a few seconds to gather their thoughts after the first 5 seconds before we're yelling at them. Get on the ground, put your hands behind your back. Let me see your hands, put your hands. They're all confused because they just got 50,000 volts of electricity going through their brain. And they don't know they don't know what's going on. So we give them a few seconds to gather their thoughts, and most of the time they'll put their hands behind their back and they'll relax, and we can handcuff them. We try to handcuff them while they're underpowered. You know, if they're really bad and they've really been showing out, and we have one officer who shoots them, the other officer comes around while they're underpowered, he gets them at least one handcuff on, tries to get both handcuffs on, and then it cuts off, and then, you know, then we're safe, and they're not hurting us, and we're not hurting them. So that's the biggest thing that I can tell you about these tasers. Now the stun guns, you know, you can buy them if you want to. They're just a pain. They're for pain compliance. They work on the sensory nervous system. just like touching a hot stove. When you get popped, I mean, y'all, some of you guys and girls probably had them and stuck them to yourself. I know some people that, like Travis said, sticking it to his leg, you know, hey, come here. And some people don't mind electricity. I don't like it. I don't touch electric fences to see if they're on. I figure out otherwise. I'll make somebody else touch it. You know, I just don't like electricity. And when I first got shot with this taser, I was nervous. I told the guy, I said, you got to shoot me first thing this morning. I said, I ain't slept 2 nights. I'm in there shaking. I said, I do not like electricity. I want you to get over it. He said, oh yeah, we're going to shoot you. And he did. He shot me. And then, you know, I didn't want to watch all these videos first and sit there and get more nervous and then shoot me. I was like, we got to do it now. So that's what they do. They expose you first, and then they train you and they let you see all the videos. And you can go online, you can go to YouTube, you can download all types of taser videos and see where they work, where they don't work. But the stun guns, you know, they may help you. But most of the time, you're only going to get just kind of a reaction. They're just going to jump, you know, when you stick it to them. It's just a pain thing. It's not going to lock them down. It's not going to paralyze them. It's not going to do the neuromuscular incapacitation. It's not designed for that. So, I mean, if you get one, does anybody have any of that already? Nobody? You do? Is it a stun? Is it like a
I have a little stun gun.
little flat one with the 2 prongs?
Yes,
Yeah. Have you stuck it to yourself yet?
not myself.
You stuck it to somebody else?
Yeah.
What? How'd they like it?
They didn't say anything like drop to the ground.
They didn't drop to the ground. They jumped and said,
At
ow.
first they were like, it didn't hurt at all, and then you get frozen.
Yeah.
But it didn't drop to the ground.
So, you know, those things are really not effective as far as stopping a perpetrator from kidnapping you, raping you, something like that. Now, the taser is, but again, they're about $1,000 for a civilian version. You know, and if any of you do decide to get one of those, you need to really get online and research and watch some videos and you know, do a little training. If you know, there's all kind of things that can happen if a bad guy's trying to kidnap you or rape you. He's not just gonna stand there and let you shoot him with a taser. He's gonna be moving, so you may get one dart in and you may miss with a dart. And if that happens, the wires are connected and there's 2 prongs on this gun that you can actually come around and touch him with the taser with one probe in, and it will complete the cycle, and he should go down, and you can hold that on him. It's a follow-up drive stun is what they call it. A drive stun is where we take the cartridge off and we just stick it to you and pull the trigger, but it's more of a pain compliance, again, because you only have this much spread. When you got about this much spread with the probes in you, you get the neuromuscular incapacitation. When the probes are coming out, when they're coming into your body, the electricity is going to catch you about 1 inch before the probe hits you. The electricity is going to grab you, so you're not going to feel the needle stick in. You might feel it when they pull it out, but normally you don't, because your mind is still kind of garbled up a little bit from 5 seconds of electricity running through you. So it's really not, you know, if you want to get exposed, you know, you can. I'm sure there's classes somewhere. I don't think we're going to be doing that, but because of liability. But you know, somebody will probably shoot you one if you want to see what it's like. But you're not going to like it. You ain't going to do it twice, I don't think, unless you just love electricity. Y'all got any questions? I about covered pretty much everything that I can really that you need to know about. That you know that. When they're teaching us, you know, we're watching a lot of videos and we're learning where not to shoot people. So, you know, we try to stay away from the face and the groin. We prefer a back shot, but if you got somebody in the parking lot trying to kidnap you, you may not have a back shot. You may have to shoot him in the face, or you may just put the dot on him and one goes in his face and one goes in his groin, or whatever. You know, if that's what happens, that's what happens. But you know, they can be dangerous. So that's why I'm saying that as far as perpetrators, you know, I wouldn't be concerned about that. You can shoot wherever you can get them, but you don't want to be playing with these things in class, on campus. They're not toys. They will kill you. I mean, And I just don't know how more clear to tell you that. They're not, it's not, the stun guns, they're probably not going to kill you. But the taser will kill you with a prolonged exposure. You know, falling from it, you can fall, hit your head and die from head trauma. I mean, there's all kind of complications that come from these things. That's why we don't shoot people that are running anymore. Used to, if we had one on a guy and we knew he's going to take off running, no problem. You just run up beside him and tell him to stop. He starts running, you shoot him out the car window and he's on the ground. He's not running anymore. But we kind of had to stop him from doing that just because of liability. So the tasers, $1,000 for the civilian version. If you get them, you know, I would be very careful with them. If you do get one and you need to, you know, I can talk to you more about it, show you how to work it, things like that. But you can also find that out on the internet, you know, YouTube it. You can find anything on YouTube just about. Any questions about anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any concerns about these weapons being used to make a woman vulnerable to being raped on any of these campuses? I mean, has that, the concerns risen any about that?
Well, you know, I don't know of any cases where bad guys have used tasers to incapacitate a woman to drag her off and rape her, but, you know, of course you see some, I've seen movies where they use them, you know, and they use stun guns. But the stun gun, any of these movies where you see a little flat black stun gun with a two-prong, is not going to do what this taser will do. It's not going to knock you out to where you can be put in a van and carried off to be raped and cut up or whatever. But if a bad guy has a taser device, and it does, there's other companies that make tasers. Taser's just the name brand of this particular gun. But if they had one of these type guns, then yeah, they could use that. They could incapacitate you long enough to tie you up, handcuff you, whatever, and drag you to their van or, you know, wherever, and kidnap you and rape you. Yeah, so it could be used. We don't hear a lot about that, but you know, not here. I mean, I don't think in big cities.
But this law come about because of some of the violence that has been in the Atlanta area. At Georgia Tech, and Georgia State.
Probably a lot more rapes going on.
Up there, and you had several armed robberies in the library. They had a lot of stuff going on up there, and that's the reason when they were putting through the taser law and the firearm law at the same time. It just happened that the governor had signed that one, that he thought this would be the law at this point. And there's a lot of research going on. We turn in data on what crimes that we have on campuses all around the state, all around the country. So that's what this law is coming from, is from some of the violence that we have had on campus.
Another question back there, I think somebody raised it.
Yeah, I was wondering, what's the law for carrying the taser off of campus? Is that legal or, okay.
I believe so. You don't have, it's not a firearm, so you don't have to have a firearms toter permit. You know, you don't have to register it. You just have to have $1,000 and buy it, and you can put it in your pocketbook and wear it. We had a police officer, when I showed you the spark test a minute ago, we had a police officer do it while he was filling up his car with gas at the city shop one day, and he burned his car up. So it will, you know, it does not work around flammable stuff. I wouldn't, static spark is a problem. We had a police officer that was doing a traffic stop, and he was standing there with the violator, writing her ticket, talking to her or whatever. And as they have a taser, as you see how I'm carrying it, it points this way. It had an extra cartridge on it that was pointing that way. And a static spark caused the cartridge to shoot, and it shot her in the face. It didn't electrocute her or anything, but it has these nitrogen capsules, and it shot her in the face. So now Taser designed this particular cartridge to be, instead of pointing like this, they designed it where it's pointing down. And then, so when I have to, if I shoot it and I have to reload it, I can take it out and put it right in like so. I don't have to fumble it around in my hand. Because you want to keep your hands away from these blast doors. Because the static spark can cause it to go off, and people have shot probes into their hand before. You have to go to the emergency room. If it goes into the bone, you got to get a physician to remove it. If it goes into your eye or, you know, nasal, certain sensitive areas, you gotta take them up there and get a physician to remove it. You know, it's just in their back or their butt or their chest or something, we can pull them right out. It's not a problem. But yeah, so, but no, you don't have to have any kind of special license or, you're not, anybody, you gotta be 18, I think, at least. That's it. Anybody else?
Water effective?
Well, I saw a video not long ago, well, in Taser School, they showed a video of some game wardens exposing a guy in the middle of a pond. And it didn't seem to affect the guy any worse, or the game wardens for that matter. But I would think that, you know, water being a conductor, that it, you know, it could, you could feel more of it if you're holding from me to her and we're in a pond, and I would think I would be able to feel some of it, just especially if I get crossed up in the wires. But it didn't seem to affect them on the video. But yeah, water, you know, flammable, anything flammable, that's sparking like that. As far as shooting it, you can probably shoot it by a gas pump. It's not going to do anything because the spark is contained. But when you take the cartridge off, like I showed you, and start spark, you see the spark, it'll ignite. You know, fumes. That's what happened when he burned the back of the police car up. I was wondering he didn't get hurt. You know, just not thinking.
And the examples, law enforcement, you always have plenty of examples that after it's all said and done, nobody was hurt. It sounds a little funny. The problem with this is that it can go bad real fast. These weapons are not. It can go back to the movie. If you see something on the movie and somebody sticks a stun gun to them, they jump around, fall around, all this stuff, and it looks funny on there. But in real life, like I said, it can go bad. It can go bad real quick. I want to say that you hear a lot of people say this right here. Well, I'm gonna get a gun. I'll shoot. You know, if somebody come on my property, I'm gonna shoot them, right? Or they may get a taser, and they think that they can just automatically use it. The training that the detective is talking about gets you comfortable with these weapons. Because anytime, and this is me personally, anytime that I've used my taser out in the field, and pulling that trigger is something that's a mind thing, to even be able to pull that trigger to use this weapon, okay? So go out, and if you happen to buy, if you buy something, whether it's stun gun, taser, whatever it is, get used to using what you bought. Don't take it, buy it, stick it in the glove compartment, or stick it in your pocketbook, and then when somebody comes up and is balling, you're going to pull it out, and you're going to think you're going to be able to use this weapon, and it's not going to work that way. We don't think whatever program you're in, that's your mindset on a day-to-day basis. If you're in law enforcement, you're thinking law enforcement. You're thinking protection. He can use any weapon that's on his belt. Take and put weapon in your hand, you jump into something that you're not used to doing. You're not used to having that mindset of, oh, I got to defend myself. Oh, I've got to protect myself from somebody else. And using that weapon, it takes a little bit to get used to. Okay? Something I did mention a while ago, if you have an incident going and you happen to pull your taser out or your stun gun out, and that person turns and runs and leaves you alone, that needs to be reported to us. That needs to be reported so we can look into what the incident is, so we can, if that person needs to be gone from campus, or there's some kind of something we need to go a little bit further, so we can do that. Every incident that this comes up, if you feel in a dangerous situation, whether it's a taser involved or anything else, let us know so we can look at it. If it turns out to be nothing, it's nothing. If it turns out that there's a danger on the campus, we want it gone. Okay? We just want to make sure that y'all are, whatever program you're in, that you can concentrate on that and not have to worry about a lot of the safety concerns that are out there. We want us to have a safe environment on campus.
Now, one thing I didn't touch on is the evidentiary value of these darts. You shoot somebody, they're trying to rape you, or they're trying to kidnap you in the parking lot at night when you're going to your car. You have to shoot him, and only one probe hits him, but brushes it off, and he takes off running. Well, that one probe that went in him has DNA on it. It's got skin cells, it's got blood possibly, but it's going to have the perpetrator's DNA. That's going to be real crucial for us to know who the guy is, especially if he's ever been in prison. He'll be in CODIS, which is a database of DNA from anybody that's been in the prison system, so it can tell us who the perpetrator is. So you don't want to take that stuff up and throw it away. You just want to leave it alone, call the police, let them do the report, let them collect the evidence. So it does have a value there. And it also, if you get a taser, there's going to be these little tabs. They're little tiny round tabs that are called aphids, anti-felon identification device is what it's called. But it's, they come out of right behind the dart. They come out and they just go all over everywhere. It's like confetti. And they've got the same serial number, real small, on each one of those little dots of paper that's on the cartridge. So we know if you shoot it at a guy who's trying to rape you, he runs off, you describe him vehicle, we catch him down the road, he's probably going to have some of those little tabs in his clothing, so we can identify, we can say, yeah, you're the one that she shot with that particular cartridge. So, you know, that's why they put that in there. That's a helpful thing. So, you know, it's just sometimes they're not just going to, you're going to miss and they're going to get away. Sometimes they may get away, sometimes not. We may be able to catch them and identify them that way.
Any more questions?
Is that taser as a safety for people that's doing street drugs?
Yeah. It's not gonna, you know, it's not, the way that it's designed, the electricity going through your body at that frequency of the wavelength that it's designed and the pulsing, it'll lock you down no matter what you're on. You can't move. I mean, being strung out on meth or crack or something like that's not going to affect that. Pepper spray, it might. You know, some people like hot stuff, and pepper spray, you know, Coleman Hall sprays it on his pizza. You know, he's an idiot, but I love it. I was like, does it taste good? It's like, it's hot. So, you know, pepper spray doesn't affect everybody. Everybody I've ever seen spray with pepper spray, they got 2 4-foot strands of snot hanging out of their nose. It works. It's hot. Anything else?
Travis, I want to say something before everybody leaves, okay?
Any more questions for Detective Reiner?
Thank y'all.
Just remember, as you walk around campus, anytime, and I know this is a taser training, but any safety concern that you see on campus, I don't care if it's a suggestion you have for our department, I want to know about it. And my email is t.akridge@southeastern.edu, like all the instructors. But I want you talking to them, all right? I want to know, because if you don't tell me, I can't fix it. And y'all may see stuff that we can't see, okay?